Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your lunch and you're enjoying your day here at the Leaders Sport Business Summit. My name's David Cushnan, Head of Content at Leaders, and it's my job to guide you through a couple of the sessions this afternoon here on the Tech and Innovation stage. And we have a session now that really is, as we can see from how full the room is, a hot topic across the sports industry as maximising the fan experience becomes ever more critical for rights holders and event organisers. We're going to hear how Everton and the Jockey Club, which operates many of the UK's horse racing venues, are tackling the challenge with the help of Rewards4, which is a fast-growing British technology and marketing company that's created an award-winning fan engagement and rewards platform that we're going to hear all about shortly. So please welcome in a moment our esteemed panel this afternoon. From Everton, we have Head of Marketing and Ticketing Tom Rowell with us. We have the Managing Director of the Jockey Club, Paul Fisher, joining us as well. And we'll also be joined by Rewards4 Director Tom Cowgill to talk this through. But first, we're going to get a little bit of a taster of exactly what we're going to be talking about in this short video.
I wouldn't be going to as many races as I do go to, and I certainly wouldn't be able to afford to go into the county stands and stuff like that. But with Rewards for Racing you can, because you're getting it for nothing, because you've built up your points by doing your normal shopping that you would do.
It's been good for me because if I need to book a holiday, I'll go through Rewards for Racing. I get points and basically I see money for nothing, which then goes to buying tickets when I go to race courses. So really it's costing me nothing to get in a lot of big meetings, Aintree, York, the dancing meeting. A 3-day pass for me for the dancing meetings like 45, 46 quid. I bought that through Rewards for Racing, so there's a £45 savings straight away.
What's worth doing is it doesn't cost you anything and it's all done for you really. When you go to buy tickets it's really easy, points come off automatically and it's all done.
I just go on the Jockey Club and buy the tickets and they say, how do you want to pay? Do you want to pay by money or do you want to pay by Rewards for Racing points? And if you've got them, just say yes and that's it, and tickets are sent to you. It's really easy.
So you just put your normal bets on sort of thing, and because it's spread across 4 bookmakers, you're always looking for the best price. Even when you lose, you're collecting a little bit more money towards fun.
We've gone to tracks that we probably wouldn't have gone to before just because the points are there. Cheltenham in particular, Aintree, we're going to York. We're trying to do as many as we can really.
I've been to Aintree quite a few years on the bounce now, and it encourages me to try other tracks, go and see different places.
What it's allowed me to do is make Cheltenham a bit cheaper. Probably wouldn't have been able to do it before. It allows me to go to smaller tracks that I probably wouldn't visit because it's then, say, maybe half price. For me, it's an absolute no-brainer, to be honest. I don't understand why you wouldn't use it.
For the racecourses that aren't signed up to the scheme, I would certainly suggest giving access to the scheme. You know, for people who aren't interested in racecourses, it attracts them because they're getting something back. You get rewarded to go to racing just for normal purchases. And it's good that you also get the competitions in terms of the moments and things like this. It's good incentives to go back and use it.
Last year I won 2 tickets to the Cheltenham Festival. It was just through the Rewards for Racing website. You go on there and they've got loads of different things that you can enter. Got to go on the track and go in the winners enclosure. I saw Nicky Henderson for Altior's 18th win.
It's the easiest site to use, it's the easiest site to click through onto all these suppliers. It's an extra click.
It does make you feel appreciated. You feel like you're part of something. It's helping me to save a bit of money as well, so I'm happy with that.
We're all telling our friends to use it because we all like a day at the races, and if it's paid for it's even better.
Overall around 150 that we've saved. Absolutely perfect. I would just say to everybody, do it. It feels like you're getting a free day at the races and it's great.
Please welcome Paul from the Jockey Club, Tom from Everton, and Tom from Rewards4. Welcome, gents. Take a seat on our innovative seats here. Get comfy. Tom, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about what we saw there and a little bit about Rewards4.
Yeah, thanks, David. Well, as you can see from the video, that was all about our racing program. Rewards for, we're a loyalty operator that operates in sports. We launched back in 2008, actually with a golf program, and hot on the heels of that came our racing offering. If I go back to 2008, it was quite fascinating. I think at the time we were told that loyalty doesn't work in sport, which I would always challenge. But, you know, for various reasons, you've got your traditional operators of retailer schemes and hotel schemes and airline schemes. But loyalty in sport's different because, you know, generally fans are loyal to their club or their sport. And so running a loyalty program within sport is all about recognising and rewarding that loyalty. And that's what our platform does.
We saw there rewards for racing, as you say, which is part of this partnership with the Jockey Club. Has it been a successful partnership? I will assume the answer is yes. So tell us a little bit about how it was formed and how it's evolved.
I'll start with this and then I'll pass on to Paul because obviously that, you know, he was part and parcel of that. So we'd been running our golf program for about 3 years. And that was very much a program based around retail and merchandise. So, you know, golfers saving money on their next golf purchase. We thought the model would work very well and equally as well in an attendance-based model. And very fortunately, we got introduced to Paul. And he could definitely see the vision that we had for racing and for, you know, creating this program. In terms of, in my view, why it's been successful, I guess, number one, we've had Paul's backing all the way through, and that of the Jockey Club. So introducing their customers, getting them to engage with the program, understand how it operates. The second thing was that we integrated with their ticketing platform. So, you know, most of the transactions with racing happen through, you know, tickets and hospitality. So a full integration with Audience View, their ticketing platform, which means that fans, racegoers can easily collect points, but then easily spend. No barriers, seamless for the customer. And thirdly, you know, we said to Paul at the start of the program, we don't want this to be like an airline model where you can use your points for 4 flights a year. You know, what we want, what inventory you sell through Audience View, we want people to be able to use points. And he absolutely supported that. So even if it's the last ticket available for the Cheltenham Cold Cup, you can use your points to go racing.
Paul, from your point of view and from the Jockey Club's point of view, as an operator of many racecourses around the UK, what were you looking for? What was the rationale for deciding that you needed a programme along these lines?
Well, we own, for those who don't know, we own and operate 15 of the sort of best racecourses in the country. And I think it was 8 years ago when Tom and the team came to see me, and it was just at a time when, all joking aside, I think I'd just been down to Boots that lunchtime to buy some, you know, painkillers or something like that across the counter. And somebody had said to me, you know, I was getting fed up with that, you know, Boots cards. Everybody wanted a loyalty card of some sort, or when you were buying your petrol, your Nectar card. And I thought, you know, we had 1.5 million people coming racing with us back then, and they were coming about 1.2 times a year. And I was thinking, how can I grow our business? And how can I get people to come racing more in this country? And I just thought it was all about really getting more people, well, getting the same people to come more frequently and to reward that, you know, reward their loyalty of coming to, you know, JCR, to our tracks. And it was just kind of pretty timely, I think, that the guys came in and said what they were doing in golf. And I kind of then kind of computed it a bit and thought, this will work for us. This will work for us at the Jockey Club. And the kind of rest is history, really.
Well, tell us a little bit about that history. How have you seen from your side of things the programme evolve, and how are you defining and measuring what success looks like?
Well, the first thing is really to we've got now about 1.3 million people on the scheme. Clearly, there's a number of segments within that. There's as you'd expect, there's still a lot of people who are only coming 1.2 times a year, but there's the people who really have got engaged with this programme. We've moved that dial. We've moved that 1.2 times a year, that frequency of visit. We've moved that now to about 2.5 times. We're making a big difference to our business. We used it. We used it as part of our pretty well publicised retail bond. I pay interest to a number of our customers. I raised 25 million to build a new grandstand at Cheltenham, and part of the interest payment we've paid in the loyalty points. So that was a kind of added bonus that we hadn't thought of back in. We hadn't thought of kind of 8 years ago. And it's just generally worked fantastically well for us. The richness of the data that we've actually got has been hugely valuable to us when we're talking to partners and other sponsors to actually show them what our customers and what they spend their money on and how they spend their money in the online space, and that's been hugely valuable. And that's why partnering with such a kind of leading company as Rewards for has worked really, really well for us.
Tom, you've snuck some stats on the screen there.
So it's a huge number, across the programs, and obviously racing was, along with golf, our foundation programs. We've kind of moved on, and we've now got more than 2 million members across the programs, and you can start to see, we're working with 60 sports organisations, and you can start to see the level of engagement that fans and our members have with the platform. Spending huge sums with our wider partner network. As well as with, obviously our sports clubs and race courses, and then going on to redeem those points as well. An ever-growing number, and Paul and the Jockey Club have been a huge part of that. Clearly, with over 1 million members in the racing program, they're spending significant sums of money each year when they use their points back with the Jockey Club. It's 5, 6, 7 million pounds a year, so it makes a big difference.
And you're continuing, Paul, to broaden out this program and open it up. Tell us a little bit about the reasons again behind that and how that's working for you.
Well, again, when the guys came to meet with me, I immediately thought, well, actually, this ought to be an industry-wide scheme. This should be something that all of the horse racing industry. There's 59 tracks in the UK, and it struck me this was something the whole industry should have been getting behind. But they weren't ready for it. The industry wasn't ready for it. So I thought, we need to do this as a jockey club, and so we kind of led the way on it.
What do you mean when you say they weren't ready? Is it just from an infrastructure, from a resource point of view?
I think, a combination of all that. They weren't really ready for it. There was a number of big tracks who probably were ready for it, but we weren't collaborating enough. People were very touchy about data and whose data it was, and pinching other people's customers. I'm sure a very familiar thing we all hear in this room. But kind of 7, 8 years on, the last 2 or 3 years, the rest of the industry's now got behind it. There's a number of other racecourses who've joined with the scheme, so people can earn points with our retail partners, and they can redeem them not only at my 15 tracks, but they can redeem them at a number of other racecourses up and down the country. You heard on that video people talking about York and tracks like that. York's not one of ours, and people are earning points coming racing with us or spending it in with the retailers on the scheme, and they're redeeming them back with York. And so we as a jockey club, we've led the industry on it, and that's kind of what our raison d'etre is, really.
And you're broadening this out in other ways as well. Jockey Club Services, which, if anybody's not aware of it, is genuinely one of the most interesting, I think, companies in the sports industry, so well worth seeking out. But you're working closely together now to sort of roll this out to other sports, to other organisations who might have a similar need. Yeah,
Jockey Club Services is we do a lot of back of house and white label a lot of our infrastructure. We white label it for a number of other sporting organisations, and we've launched the rewards for cricket now. We're doing the rewards programme for 5 county cricket clubs, as well as the Barmy Army. So they've actually seen it, and we're just launching this last season. We've launched it for some rugby clubs as well.
What are some of the Barmy Army incentives? Can we get into that?
Yeah. Well, do you know what? It's interesting because they've got their own membership model, and it works very well. Paul's mentioned obviously the cricket programme. We work with the RFL in rugby league, so our Rewards for Rugby League programme, which is ever growing, and it becomes a member benefit, if you like, of our league membership programme. And it's the same goes with the Barmy Army. They've got their own membership. They have different levels, and points can be accumulated by their members and then used to redeem back on those memberships to again save the fan money, which is ultimately what we're all about.
Let's bring other Tom in. Welcome, Tom. You've been listening carefully, I know, but representing Everton and Head of Marketing and Ticketing there. So tell us a little bit about the story of how Everton have got involved in this programme. And again, what need were you seeing?
Yeah, I think anyone here that deals with fans or supporters understands that we all live and die by loyalty. And particularly at Everton, it is something that is at the absolute top of all of our objectives, looking after our fans. We have a great fan base that deserves more. So we're always looking at ways of rewarding them incentivising attending. So when we were approached by Rewards 4, it was something that sort of piqued our interest. We met them, looked at it, and it just seemed like a no-brainer for us. It's an absolute win-win. So we have a very active fan base, and then the rewards platform essentially just rewards them for their day-to-day purchases with the ability to spend those points back on season tickets, memberships, and other areas. So for us, it's an absolute no-brainer, and we think this is really going to take off with our fans.
And Tom, you talked earlier about an attendance-based model, and with Everton, you've got obviously football is a lot more tribal. Talk a little bit about some of the different dynamics and how the relationships with different types of organisation across sport work.
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating, and you're right. Everton will have the diehard Everton fans. You've got tens of thousands of season ticket holders who will come back and buy the season ticket year after year. And I think for us, it is about that rewarding and recognising that loyal behaviour. So, the model has slightly changed in the land of a club, whereby we offer plenty of sort of fan touch points. So it's those engagement opportunities. If I just click the slide on, you can see there's engagement opportunities with the club. So, and that could be through integrations we've done through ticketing platforms, retail platforms, or platforms like InCrowd, who are a big fan engagement app, where members can collect points. Now then, once they've done that, you can introduce them to the wider retail network, which is thousands of retailers. But ultimately, you've got to get them back to that third wheel, and that's what sport offers us. Is that the sexy redemption? That's what drives fans to exhibit more and more of these behaviours. Is the redemption. So, and it's up to us then to get the numbers right, make it viable, make it financially work for everybody concerned. And it should be a win-win-win, for fans, for clubs, for partners.
And Tom, I'm sure you're going to say both, but is it more about doing something for the ardent fans, for the hardcore fans, to make them even more passionate and engaged within the club? Or is it more of an effort to build greater engagement with remote fans, with the more casual fans?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the two. Yeah, I think, like Tom said, our model is slightly different. We don't have the capacity that you might have in some of the other venues. So obviously, we have waiting lists, we have sellouts and that sort of stuff. So it's more around the affordability message of saying to our supporters, we know you're coming, which is great, but this is a way of making it even more affordable for you. So if you're going on holiday or doing a weekly shop, do it through Rewards 4, and you can use that money towards your season ticket. So it's not necessarily about retention, because we know they're going to come back anyway, but it's by saying, for doing a few simple things, you could probably knock 25% off the price of your season ticket, which is a hugely powerful message for a family of 4 in Merseyside. To be able to save hundreds of pounds off their season ticket is a big driver for us. But again, it does also appeal to perhaps fringe fans that maybe do have more affordability issues, or it's a great gifting model. Again, if you have friends, family, relatives that do a lot of online shopping, again, this is a great way for them to basically buy you a free ticket every year as a present, because through doing their shopping, they've got £50 of credit, so that might buy them a membership and a ticket as a gift. So again, it's for families to use for themselves, but also as nans, granddads, uncles, as a great way of gifting ticketing or memberships to supporters.
I think also just, sort of touching on that, that point, you've just launched your digital memberships, and, actually connecting those two together. The NFL guys were talking earlier on about, paid memberships and paid subscriptions. Well, isn't it a fantastic way if you can link your loyalty program into that to give fans that opportunity to pay for those memberships? And for the fan, they feel like, wow, this is fantastic, I'm getting a great discount here. The club gets paid the full amount for, through the points that are used. So, when we talk about the win-win, that really should be the fan feels like they've got a discount, the club isn't discounting their products, and everybody's winning, partners included.
And we found that the customers often, and it's touched on that video actually, the customer often uses the points to upgrade. And I always describe it to everybody. Once they've upgraded, we get people who are just general race goers upgrade into a restaurant customers upgrade into a box. And I always say to everybody, once you've turned left on an aeroplane, you never want to turn right again. And you've actually captured them, and exposed them to those facilities. And that's priceless, really, for us.
I work for Leaders. I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Commercially, that's really good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to come on and talk about data in a second and get your perspectives from the Jockey Club and Everton's point of view. But Tom, perhaps first of all, from a Rewards 4 point of view, Is this something that you see working potentially across every single sport, with every single type of sports rights holder? We'll have a huge mix in the room. And what's your process for selecting appropriate partners for this?
Yeah, okay. The answer is yes. I mean, there's no reason why this shouldn't operate. I think we're now operating with the Rewards for Football platform about to launch with Everton, 5 of the biggest sports in this country. So there's no reason why it isn't transferable across any mature sports market. In terms of how we'd go about choosing a new partner, if you like, number one, the integrations are key. So for us, that seamlessness of the customer journey, and whether that's through the ticketing platform, and we've got some amazing integrations with some of the biggest ticketing platforms in the country, Secutix, who Everton use, Audience View, who the Jockey Club uses, SeatGeek, AXS we've just integrated with. And also with merchandising, so Retail and Sports Systems, who are one of the big players, we've got a really nice integration there. So keeping that really easy so that you get that customer flow so people can claim points on their way through, so for the transactions they're making with their club, but then when they come back, when they've got points sitting in their wallet, their fan wallet, then being able to use those points on their next transaction to make that purchase cheaper. It's absolutely crucial.
And let's talk about the data. Obviously, you're getting access to a lot of fan data, which is obviously very useful, as we all know, in various different ways. How does it work from a data point of view between you and your partner teams or governing bodies, organisations, and what kind of sharing, access, transparency is there?
Yeah, and I'll let both these guys talk about how important data is in terms of their clubs, racecourses, partnerships. For us, data is like the new oil, isn't it? We collect a huge amount of data. The system it thrives on it. It's very rich in data. And in terms of how we use it, we respect the data we're given. So GDPR for us was, it sounds strange to say, but was brilliant, because all the data that we collect from fans, generally we ask them to give us that data. When you've got a rewards currency that can incentivize that behavior, so for example, tell us who your favorite retailers are, then we can serve up the right content at the right time to you. Tell us what your goal is. What are you saving towards? And what you can then do, the whole engagement process with us becomes that much more personalised. In terms of what we can share back with our partners, clearly, that's a very important sort of piece of the jigsaw. And we've been working hard with Paul's team, in the sponsorship and marketing, in terms of showing them, clearly on a more aggregated level, but showing them where else they're spending. So you kind of get the data of where they're spending within the sport, but also, isn't it interesting to find out where they're spending outside the sport, and then perhaps to bring that back in-house and to look at opportunities for sponsors, partners, to go and seek new ones, but then to get the existing ones to leverage their sponsorships using the currency.
I'd totally endorse that. I mean, I think it's, as Tom said, it's the new oil. But I mean, for us, the richness of the data to know what our customers are doing, what kind of customers. We kind of think we know our customers, and we got our own CRM systems, but it's really fantastic to know, where do they go on a Saturday night? What are they spending their money on? And when I'm talking to potential...
Where do they go on Saturday night?
Wouldn't you like to know?
But just kind of, how they shop, and it just enables you to build that much bigger kind of picture of that customer. And then when I'm talking to sponsors or commercial partners, the days of us trying to just sell a day's sponsorship where you put a few banners around that you brand the racecourse, partners don't want that anymore. They want access to our customers. Frankly, they want to engage with our customers. They want to sell them more of their product. And this is a platform that enables us to do that. It just gives us that richness of data that we would never have had before.
And I'm sure, Tom, you would concur.
Yeah. I think there's two sides for us. It's the commercial side, which you just touched on, but I think we also use it from a marketing perspective in terms of how we personalise our messaging. So again, we have quite in-depth segmentation of our supporter base, but it might be that this either reinforces that or actually alters the way we see our supporters. So it might be that through their behaviour with Rewards 4, they actually match what we expect, or that creates separate categories of supporters, and in which case we then do bespoke creative. The copy is written in different ways. So again, we are quite detailed about having different images for different people. No two sets of fans will see the same creative for a game, perhaps. So it works both from a commercial perspective in terms of validating partnerships, but also from a fan interaction point of view as well.
And it's obviously several data sets, but it's several of many more that you're getting. So can you talk a little bit about how it's all integrated so that you're coming out with something that's meaningful?
So obviously we have ticketing as standard retail. We also collect social media information through social sign-in now. So on our new website, you can log in through Facebook, which will then give us access to sort of behavioural information as well. We also collate all of our fan services, which is a bit like customer services cases. So again, all of that is logged through Salesforce. So we have a huge amount of input on any one supporter. This gives us something else. So it's an extra strand. So again, it just fills in extra bits of the picture on a supporter. So, you know, what do they do? How do they do it? Why? But then the way we use that is through, so again, we have a great telephone system where it will recognise the supporter's number against their phone number. So as soon as they ring in, they can get divided to a certain handler. So it might be that if someone has more than X amount of points, they get diverted to a different call handler who will then recommend upgrading for hospitality or something like that. So, you know, having that information when you work on the phones, having that in the corner saying, right, they've got X amount of points, upsell straight away, it gives you a huge tool. And again, with the video at the start, if you have £30 of points and it's £40, there you go. It's you pay the difference. It's such an easy mechanism. So, but to allow our call centre staff to have that as a tool to say, well, you know, I'm trying to sell this product, but you've already got half the money here straight away. It's an easy conversion. So,
and I think, you know, that it's so important that we work closely with our partners. So, you know, we work incredibly closely with Paul and his team. You know, we're doing the same with Tom and his team, so that, you know, we try not to place, you know, too much burden. In fact, really, in terms of resource, it's resource light from the club, you know, because we handle all the, you know, the kind of the loyalty queries, if you like, and the marketing side of it, you know, with, you know, sanction from the club. But, you know, we like to promote, you know, the other points earning opportunities clearly. But the more we can work with the club, show them where else, show them what's possible through partnerships that the club already has, you know, it's the glue really that kind of holds it all together.
Should we find out a bit more about our audience here and see if they've got any questions or thoughts? If we can bring the lights up, perhaps, might be able to see a hand or two. I can't believe that nobody's got a question. No, we've all clearly covered all bases. Let me ask. Rescued by a hand here. We've got a microphone right behind you.
Hi, what percentage of points remain unclaimed?
Yeah, so it is interesting, that sort of idea of the, you know, the points deletion. For us, you know, we've had a policy for quite some time, in fact, since we launched, where we don't really like to delete points. And the reason for that is it's not really a revenue stream for us. You know, in terms of, if you look at engagement across the programme, I suppose if you did a straw poll of industry standards, if you did Nectar, Tesco Club Card, if they were getting anything between 30-35% engagement, they'd be over the moon, and we're north of that, quite a way north of that. And I think that's because sport has that power, you know, it taps into emotions. And, you know, when you do have that loyalty to your club, the fact that your club is now recognising that and rewarding it, that's what drives our redemptions. You know, and ultimately for us, we don't want to hold on to people's points balances. In fact, absolutely not. We want them to redeem, and they go through that lovely sort of virtuous circle of loyalty. So they're collecting points, both with their sport and with our partner network, but then they're redeeming, and we know what they're then worth, not just to us, but to our partners when they go on to redeem. And Paul's already alluded to it.
I concur with that. One thing I never want is people not spending their points with us. We're trying to encourage them to spend their points with us all the time, you know, because I want to get those points, and I want to get that value, you know, flushing through our economy, really, flushing through the racecourse economy.
And just to explain that point as well, so, you know, whichever program you choose to be part of, and it's up to you, the fan, to choose your program, it'll sit within the sport you naturally follow. But we like to make sure that it is that ecosystem. So you can only spend those points back on your sport. It's not like you can take them out of the system and go and spend them elsewhere with a retailer or whoever. You spend them back on your sport. So that's it is like your sports wallet. And it's like that treat, isn't it? People can engage with another loyalty program, a Tesco Club card, or go to a cashback site. But ultimately, what's the reward you're looking for? And if that reward is your sport, and this is a really nice way to make it cheaper, fantastic. I say it's the win-win that we all want.
Got a question over here.
Have you ever worked with any broadcasters or publishers to reward media consumption?
It's a really interesting question and an interesting area. The answer is yes. Jockey Club are 51% shareholders in Racecourse Media Group, and they have racing TV. So our members can use their points for their TV subscriptions, and we're seeing an ever-increasing number of people choose to do that. So the answer is yeah, absolutely. Could you then get into, just sort of thinking forward, for sort of streaming platforms and the like, as long as the integration's there and it's easy for the consumer, for us, widening the redemption opportunities is crucial to the success of the programme. So for us, as long as they're spending back in the sport and there's a reason that redemption partner's in there, if you like, as a redemption opportunity, then yeah, we'd encourage it.
Time for one more, if anybody's got a final thought. We've got one at the back there.
I was just wondering if you could give us a very brief overview of the user's actual physical experience. You mentioned all these different cards and stuff, and it's always a bit of a talking point, the difference in age. It's a loaded question, obviously, with the difference between age of older generation wanting a physical card and the younger generation only wanting digital. So I think you mentioned a wallet or something of the kind.
I'll take it first. Certainly on the Rewards for Racing programme, there is no card. I should have probably made that clear at the start. If people have bought a ticket with us, it's actually it's whatever they've purchased their ticket with, that debit card or that credit card. That's the number that tracks them through the system. So it isn't like a Boots card or a coffee shop card or anything like that. It's absolutely cardless, and that was the real attraction to me for all our customers actually.
The idea as well, the sort of the older generation, these sort of interesting pieces, but Paul's right. We don't actually, the sort of that idea of the debit credit card. That's up to the member to give us that if they want to shop with our in-store network. But what we do encourage is, if you look at the Cheltenham membership, I'll use that as an example. So it used to be the case that Cheltenham would send out, thousands upon thousands of brochures out to their membership because that's how people wanted to receive it. And very few of their members, who are probably in the slightly older age bracket, said that they had an email address. Well, funnily enough, when points were offered as part of that membership, and they were told that you had to have an online account, so you had to have an email address. It's funny how many people came back and gave them an email address. So what it does do, it helps the Cheltenham marketing team. They have to send out so much collateral now, which costs a fortune. But what it does do then, it drives those customers more online. They're online anyway. Don't believe the hype that that they don't have an email address or are online. So I think. Hope that answers the question.
Good stuff. We have run out of time, so all that remains for me to say is that congratulations for attending this session. You can all claim your 10 leaders points at the door, and in my just made up system, you can all have 20 points each. How about that? Please thank the panel. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom.